Today's show is going to be awesome. You'll learn about an elite team going for gold when we talk with world champion Michael Andrew and his dad, who also is his coach, Peter Andrew, in Encinitas, California on our road trip segment. You'll get some great tips for putting together your own high-performing team. And if you are enjoying our podcast, we would be so grateful if you would subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you leave us a review, you may be featured in our review of the month. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Champions Mojo Weekly Podcast with your hosts, Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker. You'll hear authentic, entertaining stories with tips, lessons, and wisdom from champions to inspire, motivate, and educate you. You'll get the tools you need for becoming a true champion in your own life. And now, your host, Kelly Pallas.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast, where I am co-hosting with Maria Parker. Hello, Maria. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Kelly. How are you?
Maria, I am doing great too. And we have a show today. What an awesome show. We are going to talk about how putting together your own team can help you reach your goals in athletics and or in life. And we'll get some ideas from a high-performing elite team, the Andrew family, featuring world champion Michael Andrew and his dad and coach, Peter Andrew, when we talk with them in Encinitas, California on our road trip segment. What Michael has accomplished at such a young age is beyond impressive. At only 19, he has already been an international sensation, including winning a world championship title, multiple world junior titles, and junior world records, breaking over 100 age group records so far, and he just keeps getting faster. Recently, Michael is dominating the TYR Pro Swim Series and has won 4 national titles at the U.S. Nationals last summer, which qualified him for 4 individual events at this summer's upcoming World Championships. And Maria, you got to be in on the interview with Michael and his dad via Zoom. What else can we share with our listeners to better help them understand the dynamics of this awesome team effort?
Yes, Kelly. It was fun to talk with Michael and Peter about their team dynamics, particularly the sentiment that while from the outside Michael appears to be the main focus of the team, there is lots of support within the team for everyone's goals, not just Michael's. Also, that Michael and his family consider all of the people that follow them and pray for them as part of the Team Andrew. As a non-swimmer, I had to learn 2 acronyms that I want to explain for our listeners. The first is Michael's unusual training. The brainchild of Dr. Brent Rushall is referred to USRPT and stands for Ultra Short Race Pace Training. There's more on that in the show notes. And the second one is ISL, which stands for the International Swim League, the exciting first ever professional sports league for elite swimming. It's debuting in October of 2019. But I'd like to say that I found the interview very inspiring, and I'm looking forward to talking more about it with you after we share it with our listeners.
I totally agree, Maria. Very inspiring. My husband, Mark, and I were fortunate to spend quality time with this family, attending one of Michael's swim practices, then going to breakfast with the family, including Mother Tina and Sister Michaela, before the interview. I was struck by the giving, loving, service-oriented attitude of their entire family. And at breakfast, we talked about Michaela's surfing and Tina's pentathlon training, not just swimming. I was also struck by what a mature, humble, grounded young man Michael is and how he truly supports his family and obviously vice versa. But without further delay, let's go to the interview. For those listening, enjoy the interview and know that this is more of a studio sound where we're sitting in a room with several people and passing the microphone. So enjoy. We're in Encinitas, California with world champion swimmer Michael Andrew and his father and coach, Peter Andrew. All swimmers, when they start to learn to swim, they blow bubbles. So that's how we start the podcast. So the first question that I have for you, Michael, is how did you fall in love with swimming?
Ooh, that is a deep question. Okay, so I guess I'm going to start kind of where I started out swimming. We were living in South Dakota. Our neighbors introduced us to the local swim team. That's where I kind of learned how to swim. I was 8 years old. I think I really fell in love with the sport when I started to, it came with success. Like I fell in love with the water immediately. I always enjoyed it, and it came naturally. But when I was 10, I broke my first national age group record in Lawrence, Kansas, which was actually where we came from before moving here to California. And I signed my first autograph. And I was like, dang, this is awesome. Like, I want to do this for a long time. And so that's kind of what made me first fall in love with the sport, is knowing like it's something that I'm gifted in. Like I love to do it. I love the feeling of going fast, and I had the results to back it. And so I was like, why not go for it?
That is a great answer.
Yeah.
So, Peter, when did you fall in love with coaching?
Oh, golly, I don't know if fall in love with coaching, if that's the right.
Or how do you?
Yeah, I mean,
how do you feel about coaching?
Yeah, I don't know if I really see myself as a coach, but just as a dad, right? Because I fell in love with my son the second I saw him, right? And so that was my thing with coaching. Was I believe God gives us all gifts. He gave me my son, and so my role was to help him to be his very best. And obviously it's been a real journey that we've been on from the beginning. And there's every journey's got ups and downs, right? We can't be on the mountaintop all the time. And but I totally love it. I love that we get to travel together. I love that this is my job. I get to be with my son. I get to go out in the water. I mean, it's just I love. If this is coaching, I love being a coach.
Great. I love these answers. Maria, anything right now for them before I hit the we question?
Peter, you obviously thought you could be the best coach possible, or you didn't want to give that role up to someone else. Can you talk a little bit about your decision to say, hey, I've done the research. I'm just as good as anybody I can hand Michael over to.
Yeah, actually, when we first started, it was. I definitely didn't feel like, well, I can do this better. We actually tried to hire a coach that we thought was smart. And then, as I started to interview and speak to everybody, I realized that, nobody actually knows what they're doing. Everybody is doing something different. They all think that it's right. So what is right? And so I set out on this journey, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to interview. And my first guy was John T. Skinner, right? So John T., and he's a great friend. We love John T. But he was the head of USA Swimming. He was the head coach at that time of the science department, yeah. And he had just exited that position. So we connected with him. And then I was like, but his science is like different to when you speak to the Russians. Their science is different. So everything's different. So I figured, no, this is, I'm doing this myself. Yeah. And really it was when I met Dr. Russell, I don't think anything happens by chance. I think, that God has his plan in everything. And when I listened to Dr. Russell and he was strictly science, it was like, oh my goodness, this makes so much sense. Yeah. And as soon as we started implementing that, Michael started just shattering records.
Well, I want to add too, I think what's so cool too about Dad not having any sort of coaching background, but just coming from a place of wanting to learn as much, he was able to pick and choose all the best parts and bits from around the world and kind of tailor this. And obviously when we met Dr. Russell, the science was there, the data backed it up, and then the results followed. And so I think not being so indoctrinated from the beginning that this is the way you have to do it because everybody did it this way, we're able to, have a more open mind towards the way we train.
And I think starting, when we started, I didn't really know, right? I swam and I know what I did, and I didn't ever think it was right. So what we did with these kids, we had a bunch of little kids because we built this pool, and then my wife always says, build it and they will come, and this is about right because we had all these little kids come to swim with us. And so all we did was make relays, and we just had them swimming fast all the time. So it was kind of a disorder USRPT, it was, but they were having fun, and I do think that is the key, is having fun. That's something I've learned. If you're enjoying yourself, it doesn't matter what anybody says because you're going to do as well as you're going to do.
We love to ramble.
Yes. No.
What's it called? ADHD.
I think it's great. So we, in the spirit of the theme of this show, which that's great background for your coaching and you loving swimming. For the spirit of this, one of the things that, as a observer of you, Michael, is watching you at interviews say, we are swimming the 50 free. We are swimming the 100 free. So just explain that we for me.
Yeah, something something we speak about as a family is we understand as an individual we can be great, but as a team we can be exponentially greater or better. You see the greatest athletes, they're the ones who have a team. Like, we can't do it on our own. Like, I have a coach, I have my mom as my agent, but more than that, it's a support system. And so even like through social media, like I have like the people that follow our journey and pray for us and cheer us on, they're part of this journey. They're part of the team. And I think to know that I have such a big team rooting me on, it gives me so much freedom to just go and work for more than just myself. I think that's a pretty awesome thing. But like I said, growing up, I would speak with mentors and stuff, and a lot of them would say, oh, when you speak, why don't you say like, I did this? Because it's a possessive, like, I swam the race. But I just always naturally found myself saying, we swam a great 100 free. And it's like, I thought, okay, yeah, it's kind of weird to say we. But if you really think about it, it wasn't me who got me here. Like, it was a team that got me here. And so I always, want to be courteous to the team and the fact that we did it together. It's not just I.
Mm. Yeah, I do think that, just on that, it's like, are we, it's, when you go back to a spiritual thing, is I as so much building my own kingdom, and we, it really is brings everyone together. Yeah, it brings everyone together, and we shouldn't be building our own kingdom. Like, you look at us, and it goes back to where, as a professional athlete, you see how so many people get ruined by where people worship them, and then they expect to be worshipped, and they walk around like they should be worshipped, and it's so wrong, because we are all just people, right? We're all the same, and we are made to worship, not be worshipped. And that's, I think that's, for me, that's, I feel like when I look at Michael too, I think that sets him apart from so many athletes, because he's a good guy, and he loves people around him, and he shares, and it's awesome. And then plus, if he were to go the other way, his mother would kill him.
They keep me grounded, thankfully, very gratefully. Yeah.
So can you describe your team a little bit? Like, who does what? So we've got you and your dad and your mom and Michaela, and what are each of the roles? Yeah, so
it sounds weird to say roles. I think the obvious, like the two very obvious roles is dad coach, me athlete. Growing up, like, family roles have changed, and I don't even like thinking roles, because it kind of pigeonholes one person into a certain thing. And I feel like as a team, we kind of operate so much bigger than just a single role. We all kind of pick up where there needs to be pickup. And mom right now is like agent. We have other things that are in the work that she's managing, and like we feel like mom's the backbone of the whole family. And I mean, it's true. Dad and I would be in so many different directions. We'd just be surfing all day. But it's, we like, growing up too, my sister cooked all the meals in the house. She loved that creative side of, preparing a meal. Things change now where we're here in California, and she has other dreams and passions, so she's surfing. And like, we want to be able to support each other in our things as a family and as a team, as we. And I think a lot of people kind of take it out of context when they think, oh, this whole team revolves around Michael. And I think that's something that scares me, because I don't want people to think that, obviously I'm the one who has the swim platform, but the roles are me helping dad be the best coach he can be, dad helping me as an athlete, me helping mom as an agent, us supporting Michaela's dream as a surfer or a traveler, all these things. And I think it's pretty cool, because it takes pressure off of our one role that we each kind of individually have, because we work as a single organism towards whatever that one person wants to get done. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And I mean, you think like even our move down here, you know, people have said to us like, "Oh, golly, can you do that now, right before the Olympics?" And wouldn't that disrupt? But it really doesn't matter, you know. Michaela, it was her dream to come and become a surfer, and so that's what we do, you know. And actually, it's been a fantastic move because we're training outdoors now. Michael's in the sun, getting more vitamin D. We're in the ocean, getting a lot of electricity. I mean, and it's amazing. So it all just, I think if we're just doing the right thing, right, everything works in the right order. And I think for us, I mean, family, that's something that I never understood. As if I would read a blog and I'd see like someone says, "Oh, that's strange. Michael's sitting with his dad." Yeah, it's like that's a family, right? A family, yeah. And I think our society is so attacked. Like family is attacked, and I think that things would work so well if we could all be working together as families. But it's just a breakdown, kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think just to like simply put it, if we were to break it into roles, just for sake of the podcast. My role is athlete son, right? That's what I do. I swim professionally. Dad's role is coach, motivator, like that, like the performance side of it. Mom is agent, kind of backbone, holds it together, helps manage, figure out travel, things like that, logistics, I guess. And Michaela she's part cook, but more than that, she's like the support. And I actually think I believe she's the wisest person in the family. She's the one who, if we are doing something and we aren't really sure it may be the right thing or are curious about other input, we go to Michaela and she always has the right answer, which is crazy. And so I think she's wise beyond her years. And so she's like she's our Yoda.
She's a little green.
That's beautiful. Maria, do you have anything regarding team?
Yeah, you know, we're trying to motivate people, and I think you all are extremely fortunate to, Peter, you and your wife have built a beautiful family, and obviously you love your kids and you feel like you're doing the right thing. But if we're talking to somebody who's not as fortunate as Michael, and we're saying, look, this is how you build a team. Do you have some suggestions for that?
Wow.
Yeah, you know, because actually when we started, I mean, it's definitely a journey, right? Because even when we started, I found myself being too stressed about performance, and it's easy to get caught up in the world and being and you have to do this, have to do that, and so I'd get stressed with Michael, and fortunately on our journey, you know, we had obviously Michael had his mentors, and I learned, you know, love, you know, how to coach and love. That's it. That's all it is. I think that the Christian faith is such a simple thing too, right? You come, who is Jesus? Jesus is love and serves. If we could serve and love, man, the whole world would work, and that's I think that's what it's all about. And even if I do now get stressed, Michael can see, he can read it. It's like, you know, so I think if we all, it's simple, but it's tough.
I think the biggest thing is, so if you're speaking to a family or an athlete that their parents are not involved or they don't really support their passion, or a sibling that's kind of against it, I think the biggest thing for that athlete or the person listening is to, one, I think relationships, it's very two-sided. It's not like you get something from the other person and you don't have to give back. I think in order to have a friend, you have to be a friend. And I think it's really important to have mentors and people in your life that feed into your lives. And there's a lot of people out there that are wanting to do that, whether it's at a church or at some club or whatever sort of capacity that's in. I think there's always people that are wanting to help and teach and feed into the lives of the younger athletes. But also to try and, even if you don't have that physical connection with an actual person you can hang out and learn from, or someone you can be mentored by, there's certain people on social media, I mean, it's scary to say, that are awesome examples to follow. Like friends of mine, Andrew East, Sean Johnson, like these athletes are setting examples and in a way mentoring thousands, millions of people without physically having to go and get coffee with them or go through these rough spots. Obviously, it helps to have a father figure or a mother figure, guiding you through those difficult times, but there's ways to almost supplement it, which is unfortunate that has to be the case nowadays because, so many families, like we said earlier, are being broken apart. But I think that's one way to do it. I don't know. It's a tough question because I've never even been asked something like that. Yeah.
I think you have answered it impeccably, and I wanted to share with Maria and put in the interview here that I love your concept of your team are everybody out there. Your Instagram fans, your following, your people that you're getting out of this interview, and you've got to go do 8 hours of video editing. I mean, that's giving back. Right. That's you. I would ask you to think of yourself as a role model of mentoring and inspiring.
Even you said when we met you this morning that you are on our team.
I am.
And so we are, you're praying for our journey. And I think, that's powerful, like prayer. That's better. That's more than anything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And because life on earth anyway is just a mist. Like, what do we do? Swimming, what is swimming? Yeah. It just doesn't even, but it's like God gives us opportunities to love people and be a difference, And so, we're going to, you guys are on our team and we're like family now. So, it's as corny as it sounds, but it's true.
And all of your followers, I think.
Right. What's the definition of a family, right?
Yeah.
A family it's a group of people that support each other and cheer them on in their ventures. Like everyone that is wanting me to succeed and excited about what's happening in life, like that's part of our family. Very vaguely, but yeah.
No, I think that, and that, again, that ties into you saying that to be on a team, you give back. Like that's why you didn't swim in college, but that is the thing that people say when they swim in college that makes the big difference. I felt like I was in a family. Exactly. I felt like I was on a team.
A more interesting thing I've noticed is, so I very rarely swim relays because I'm the only person on my team. And every time I get to go to World Junior Championships or World Championships and swim a relay, it's the fastest splits you'll ever swim. And why? It's because you're swimming for your team. You're swimming for the three guys that are in the water with you, trying to beat the opponent. And so you have so much more power fighting from a place of like family team ownership than you do as an individual. And it's so interesting to see that because you look at like Jason Lezak. Fastest 100 split ever, not because and he couldn't do that individually. No. That's the power of the relay, which is so crazy.
Which is the power of the team.
I think if you listen to like what's that book that I listen to, all those jolly the Compound Effect and all those motivational books, and when they take great athletes, they're not doing it for the money or the medal. It's for something greater than themselves. It's for their God or for someone that's sitting on the couch that they feel like they're going to change their lives. And that's what the big difference is. If you're doing it for something bigger, I think the big downfall is when it's about yourself. Then you're setting yourself up to fail.
To get caught up in because social media, sponsorships, brands, they only care when you're swimming well and you're the hottest stuff in the room. It's like that's what they create, and the athletes follow that. So you have to have a team around you to constantly remind you that that's not what's going to fill that void.
Well, you're giving back so much to your team. I have one last question for you. Before I do the last question, Maria, do you have anything?
I was just going to comment that the team thing, and you all have alluded to it, is the back and forth that you have in your family and your relationships. It's very, Peter, you talked about getting too into coaching and too stressed about it. And you, Michael, talked about the back and forth. So I guess it's, I want to, for our listeners, I want them to hear that this relationship is not just you listening to your dad, but that there's back and forth, and sometimes it hurts. Sometimes there's a little conflict, and you end up in love, but I want you to talk just a little bit about that.
No, that's perfect. No, that's 100% true. There's always, I mean, even today, before going to have breakfast with you guys, it's like, my mom's like, no, I can't go all the way to Cardiff. We can't, like, we're always arguing, but at the end of the day, we understand we have the same goal. We're headed in the same direction. And even if we butt heads at one point, like it's kind of like bumper cars. Like you have these railings like to protect you from really destroying yourself. And so through communication, we're able to navigate this and still get around the course to the end goal because we're still headed the right direction. Like we're still headed in the same direction, even though we may bump into each other along the way.
Yeah, and as far as communicating, I mean, that's all it is communication, right? Because we'll arrive at the pool and I expect Michael to be able to do something, but I'm always asking him, well, how do you feel? How does your shoulders feel? You know, I mean, I want him to be positive because I do believe the brain is the central governor. If you and your brain think something, then that's what's going to happen. But you know, if he can't make, if we go to practice and he can't make anything, we get out of the pool and walk away. And a couple years ago, that would be very difficult for me. I'd be very angry. But now, you know what? I trust Michael. There's no way I'm going to push him for more than he can handle, and I want his body to be super healthy, and you know, I mean, that's the way he's going to be his best. And so if he believes in me and trusts me, I mean, you know, I trust him. And I mean, that's just a part of any relationship, right? A husband and wife, I mean, you got to be able to trust and believe in each other.
Right.
And
well, I think that's one of the hardest parts about creating a really tight family unit. That trust is so important, and it's not something that just happens. We've been doing this for a decade now in swimming, and we only feel like maybe the last 2-3 years it's really become elite or like excellent. And it's because over that decade we've been diligent about working on being honest and speaking the truth and communicating and even going through the hurt. You know, I mean, it's the lows that make the highs feel so high. And without those, I mean, without butting the head, what would we have? It'd just be the same all the time. It wouldn't be worth it. It wouldn't be fun. So yeah, I mean, arguments, as unfortunate as it sounds, it's going to happen and you're going to butt heads, but you have to trust that the people you're arguing with just want the best for you. And for me as a son, listening to my mom say, oh, you should do the 2IM and the 4IM and all these things, I'm like, no, like that makes no sense to me. But I understand that she sees, yes, I'm talented there, and if I really put myself to do that, I could be amazing, but she's also given me the freedom to make that decision. And right now, you know, I'm swimming the 50s and 100s, and she's given me the ability to then come around one day and, you know, go towards the 2IM, whatever. Like that's where the freedom of communication and being able to understand that we all just want the best for each other, which was hard at first to figure out. So.
Awesome. Okay, so my last question for both of you is simply, what's most exciting for you in the near future of swimming?
Oh man, near future. When's the podcast going live?
On your birthday.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so near future, I guess really near future is we are owning one of the International Swim League teams. This is huge for our family. We're able to kind of take what we have learned as a family and put it into a team setting with other elite athletes, which I'm super stoked about. But even more so, it's changing the whole, it's changing the world of swimming in terms of athletes being able to earn more as a professional swimmer. Apart from that and the pro team and the competitions, we have a lot of international travel this year, like crazy. I mean, we're going all over the world, and then World Championships in July, which will be a big one because the goal is to, I'm right now qualified for 100 breast, 50 free, 50 fly, 50 breast, and I have the opportunity to qualify for the 50 back. So I'd like to be the first American to compete and medal in 4 individual strokes that are not the same, which would be crazy, but God willing, all that goes together. But other than that, just a lot of racing, a lot of traveling, a lot of fun family stuff. I don't know, Dad probably has some other things to add.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's the Olympics, right?
Well,
2020, or it's long term, except it's just a couple months away. So he'll be 21 years old then, and I believe he's just going to be stronger and better, and so that's going to be really fun. And I've looked at the meet lineup, and so it's very, very good for us how we want to run our schedule, and so that's going to be fun. But obviously the ISL thing is going to be amazing, and really looking forward to that. And really we want to I think with the ISL we'll have the opportunity also to really impact swimming, in that we could work with athletes and help them to be able to be fast all the time, all year long, like Michael. Obviously if we can build our own facility and then have the athletes train together as a team. Right now we have athletes from all over the world, so to come together it'll be, but I mean all that in time we'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, but it's exciting that we as a family can get to travel together and just be together and do everything that we do together. So yeah, I mean long term it's going to be journeys. I mean, I don't know. Who knows where we're going to be in a couple of years?
That was a lot.
Those are great answers.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for spending this time with us. Your family and what you've created and what you hope to sort of inspire other people with is working. It's inspiring. It inspires me. I'm not even a swimmer. I love what you're doing.
I really appreciate it.
All right. Love you, Maria.
Love you too, Kelly. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for having us on the podcast. Very excited for the future. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun and been awesome meeting you guys, and looking forward to the future.
Thank you, Michael and Peter, for being on the show today. We really appreciate it, and we wish you all the best in achieving all your dreams.
So, Kelly, let's talk about our takeaways and how our listeners can build their own teams for success. I thought it was wonderful to hear their descriptions of how their team works. I think they have sort of a unique team, but they still taught us a lot about how to build a team. And here's the nuggets that I picked up. One is, as Peter said several times, he had to think about his team as loving and serving Michael, and loving and serving the other members of the family, and even loving and serving their extended community, the people who follow them. So obviously their team building comes from a faith-based perspective, but I think that's something that everyone can use. I think if we're building a team, we can think about how we can love and serve one another as we build the team. And the other thing he talked about was trust. Michael talked a lot about trusting his dad. His dad talked about trusting Michael. They talked about trusting their mom and their sister. And so, they there's a lot of give and take, but in the end, they choose to trust one another. And I think as you build a team, you have to trust each other. And that's true in my own team of my marriage and my team of the people that I work with in my other walks of life, that if I don't trust them, then it doesn't go very far. So I love those three words: love, serve, trust, as far as building a team goes. What did you think, Kelly?
Those are beautiful nuggets, Maria. And I can still hear Peter's beautiful accent when he says love and serve. And I think those are excellent. And trust, of course. So, yes, those are great nuggets from that. And I think Michael even alluded to in his one of his wrap-ups that it took them a while, that they've had this team together for 10 years, and they are just now in the last couple of years kind of hitting on all cylinders, where they do trust each other and they allow each other to serve and to love. And, they do, like we talked about, they argue, but then they get back on track. And so I think those are great. And I wanted to tie that into one of my big nuggets was, even within that family, it took them time to trust each other. And I loved the idea, the concept of family and team and that family doesn't have to be your blood relatives. So if our listeners out there are thinking, how do I put together a team? What goal do I have? If I have a goal to, lose weight or get fit or, write a book or start a business or be the best, parent I can be, whatever the goal is, that we want to surround ourselves with people that we trust, people that, this is a unique family unit that is a team. But one thing that I'm noticing is that most high-performing teams today say that they feel like family. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I completely agree. It is. That's where the love and trust comes in. I think we use the word love often when we're talking about family. But I think when you build a good team, you do feel a deep affection for the people that you're working with, that you're working towards the same goal. So I love that. I love the idea that your team is your family. And I think if you don't really have that, then it's going to be very difficult to succeed if there isn't a sense of love. And that doesn't mean that we always enjoy one another, as he said, as both Michael and Peter said. There's a lot of give and take, and there's some difficulties, But the other thing they said, which had just occurred to me now, is they talked a lot about communication. And I think that what they were alluding to is that their communication was getting better and they were listening to one another. So getting back to my point, which is that, if you can communicate, there's obviously always going to be some, difficulties and maybe, some painful points. But if there's communication and give and take, then you often have love and certainly affection. And if all of you are feeling that towards one another, then you're going to be amazingly successful going in the direction that you want to go.
Yes. And the one thing that you ask at the end, and I want to just kind of do a little summation on, was, so listeners out there, you've got a goal, you've got something. What can you do to build your own team? And, again, kind of from my coaching perspective, that I came up with 4 steps that people can use to build their team. And they're pretty simple, but the first one is not even really a step. It's like, do a litmus test of people that you already have around you. Like, if you win big, who celebrates with you? So this is something that you can just think of. Like, if I hit this goal that I have, and you can envision it in your mind, who gives me the high five? Who do I call and say, hey, I hit this goal? And they go, woohoo! So that's kind of the first test. Maybe you already have a team. You don't even realize it, but you have a team around what you're doing. And then just kind of 4 things that you could do is, 1, the first step is, obviously, before you can create a team around something, you have to be clear on what you want. And that, I think, that's a whole different show. How do we be clear on what we want? So set your goals with specific goals. Number 2, write out your dream team. So obviously, you want a coach or a mentor, someone that has done it. You want a motivator, someone that wants you to succeed. And then you want a divergent supporter, which is what I call someone that has skills that you lack. So, like, that's the balanced person on a team that, will do the things that you're not good at. And that's one of the things about putting together teams, is having a diverse group of people. This may be, your skill set and my skill set is over here. And I think a good marriage sometimes has that. I know with Mark and I, we have divergent skills, and when we run our businesses together, it's really a nice combination. So that's the divergent supporter. And then if you can find a co-player, or a training partner, or a partner that is someone that is doing the exact same thing. If you want to run a 5K for your first time, they have teams in training. I mean, that's like a no-brainer. There's somebody that's doing the same thing. So that's number 2, is write out your dream team. So coach, mentor, motivator, divergent supporter, and then kind of like a co-partner that's doing it too. Number 3 is you need to motivate your team to be invested in that goal so that it's their goal too. So that's why that takes the pressure off of a team if it's like this is the whole team's goal. And number 4 is celebrate the small successes with that team and, of course, the large successes. So what do you think of those 4 steps, Maria?
I love it. It's really particularly inspired by number 3, which is to help your team, help them envision the goal the same way that you do. That inspires me. I think that's excellent.
Thank you, Maria. And those 4 steps will be posted in the show notes. And Maria, I want to say I am so glad that you are on my team and that I am on your team. So that is going to wrap up our show on teams. We hope that you have gotten something out of today and that you can create a team around you to make yourself a champion of your own life. Thanks for listening.
Thanks to everyone for listening. Have a great week.
And now for our quote of the week, this one from Helen Keller. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much.
We are so grateful that you spent this time with us today, and we hope that you heard something that inspired, motivated, and educated you. Signing off for myself and my champion co-host, Maria Parker, we hope you'll join us again soon, and we know you can be a champion. Thank you for listening, and please see below for a copy of the show notes for any links or important information that we've referenced here.
You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast, designed to make you feel inspired, motivated, and educated. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. Also visit championsmojo.com to learn more.